Aum Gangadipataye Namaha. Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on the Vedanta Sutra. In these few videos, 5 or 6 videos, we're covering the Īkshatyadyadhikaranam. What is that? Īkshat means creative visualization. Literally means to see. And that at the beginning, the Sat, the Self, Atma, the Supreme Brahman, is said to see the worlds into existence. Īkshatyadyadhikaranam. So this topic is that the Supreme, or the First Cause, or the Creator, must be sentient. He has to see. He has to visualize the creation. And boom, it all pops into existence. But there are many philosophers who make the first mistake. And what is the first mistake? To think that this world of material elements is somehow supreme. And to worship it. To think that it is the first cause, but it's not. And so this is a series of sutras explaining why not. So the 7th sutra, Tannishthasya Mokshopadesat. Tat means to that. Nishthasya means of the devoted. Mokshopadesat, from the statement of salvation. Moksha, of course, means liberation, and upadesha means instruction. So the Supreme is declared in the Upanishads as one who gives liberation to the faithful. Nishtha, the faithful. They get the moksha. And this is the instruction, upadesha, that one must approach this Supreme, this Brahman, this Sat, Atma, for liberation. And this is the whole game of human life. We find ourselves thrown into this storm of violent, clashing material energies. And we wonder, well, what is this all about? Where did this come from? Why am I here? And finally, how can I get out? How can I end the suffering? The existential suffering of existence. Yeah, it takes many different forms. And so the tendency is to mistake the material energy as the cause and try to eradicate the suffering by some arrangement of the material energy. The asat. But asat is not sentient. It's not conscious. It doesn't have any will. That has to come from the Sat, the Brahman. The Pradhana, or aggregated material elements, has no consciousness, has no will. So any of the phenomena derived from it are also basically mechanical. But how does this whole thing come into existence? The Supreme dreams it, thinks it, visualizes it. He doesn't create it, he doesn't emanate it, he doesn't make it or do it. It just happens by his thinking about it. So it's true that Brahman is not the doer. He's not a creator in the sense of making something. But he's simply dreaming, and from his dreaming, all of these worlds come into existence. Pretty amazing. And by devotion to him, we can attain moksha. Well, what is this about devotion? Devotion to what? Devotion to the first cause. Well, I thought this was about jnana, knowledge, and that liberation is something that you get by cultivating a certain kind of knowledge. This is another mistake. Devotion, or bhakti, one who is devoted is nishtha. He's standing there. He's not going away. He's steady. So one who is steady in his devotion for the Supreme attains liberation. Why? Because Atma, he realizes the self. The self is the same in everything. It's the same in the material elements as it is in us. The difference is we are reflecting the sentience of the Supreme, whereas the elements only reflect the energy of the Supreme. So because we are tiny reflections of the Supreme, we have the same nature. Just like the reflection of the sun or moon in many little puddles of water has the same form, the same nature. The difference is not qualitative. It's only quantitative. We are limited, finite, and he is infinite. So by this devotion, what is devotion? To the self. It doesn't mean offering incense and lamps and food and all of that. That's nice, you know. But what really is devotion? It means love. Love for the sentient. Love for sentience. For the being that has awareness. Because that quality is the same in all. I mean, even the material elements have some sentience. It is the sentience that is inherited by them. This is a computer term, actually. Computer programming. In object-oriented programming, you have something called inheritance, where objects that are derived from another object inherit all its qualities. So in the same way, we, being derived from the Supreme, inherit many of his qualities, just not in the same quantity. So what does it mean, devotion to this Supreme? It means love of consciousness, love of awareness, devotion and worship of that which is sentient in all beings, but especially in oneself. After all, everybody loves their own self more than anything else, isn't it? Come on, let's be honest. So when this love reaches maturity, one sees one's own self-nature reflected in others, and one sees the Supreme as its source. So naturally we begin to love all beings, and especially the Supreme who has created them. And now the next sutra, Heyatvavachanaccha. Heyatva means fitness to be discarded. Avachanat means not being stated by the scriptures. Cha means and. And the Pradhana cannot be denoted by the word self, because it is not stated by the scriptures that it, sat, has to be discarded. The idea here is that the scriptures often work by giving us something gross and then gradually moving us or purifying us until we can understand the subtle behind it. But here, this is not the case. Here, in the Upanishads referred to by the Sutras, this is a story about creation and Creator, and how one must be devoted to the Creator to attain moksha. But that moksha, what is it really? It's simply ceasing to believe in the illusion, ceasing to cultivate desire, ceasing to indulge in material states of consciousness, seeing consciousness as the supreme and as the first cause of everything. It's not only the first cause, it's the only cause. Everything is consciousness. Whatever we experience is only our own consciousness. There isn't anything else. Our self is the self, and our consciousness is the consciousness. All there is. See, again, to bring up this point that we don't experience the world directly. We experience it through our senses. And what is experiencing? Consciousness. Without consciousness, all of this is meaningless. The world itself might as well not exist without consciousness, because there's nobody to experience it. So in the beginning is consciousness, and in the middle and in the end also. There is really no material existence. There is really no separate energy from the Lord, the Self, the Sat, the Supreme Cause. Everything is only the consciousness of the Supreme. It's just like in a movie theater, the screen is always there. Whether the projector is on and images are being projected on the screen or not, doesn't really matter. It's still the same room with the seats and the screen and everything, When the lights come on after the movie is done, you see, oh, this is a movie theater. Yeah, okay. So, in the same way, when enlightenment dawns, you start to realize, oh, this world is just an illusion. It only seems real because of the way I'm looking at it. How am I looking at it? With desire. I want to be a separate individual. I want to have this. I want to know this. I want to do that. So, because we lose sight of our being, and we get caught up in knowing, thinking, doing, having, and so on. Different states of identification with the material energy and material designations. Name and form. Because of that, we suffer. When we give that up, or just see through it, to the real being that causes everything, even right now, in this moment, in this body. What is the cause of this experience that we are having? It's only consciousness. And we are that consciousness. We are that being. And knowing that, realizing that, is liberation. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.